welcome you two. Do you think you could introduce yourselves for us before we get started?
Sure, go ahead, Sandro.
Okay. Again, my name is Sandro Cleuzo, or Cleuzo in English, and I'm from Brazil, and I've been in the animation industry for since 1985, 35 years, a long time. I'm an animator, do character designs also. I started doing TV commercials back home in Brazil when I started. That's where I learned the basics of animation. Then I went to work for Dan Bluth in Ireland. And after that, Disney for a few years. And I worked for DreamWorks, for so many studios, Sony, Leica. And today I'm still a freelancer. I'm working on Space Jam right now, animating traditionally.
Cool.
Right.
So
I worked with Chris for many years.
Yes, it's true. It's true. So yes, I'm Chris Suave. Suave is how you pronounce my last name. So like Sandro, I've been in animation for a long, long time. I started professionally in '87, but I was in college from '84 until '87. I worked in Canada for a number of years. That's where I was born. In '94, I came down to LA, Los Angeles, California to work at Disney Feature. And I've worked at Warner Brothers as well as doing a bunch of TV stuff. So I've done a fair share of feature and television stuff. I was a supervising animator on The Iron Giant. Dean was my character. I also did some Hogarth and Kent. I directed on the first 2 seasons of Futurama. I animated on Ren and Stimpy. I worked 2 times at Disney Feature, one in the mid-90s where Pocahontas and Hunchback, and then in the early 2000s for Atlantis and Home on the Range and a few other pictures. Right now, for the last 12 years, I've been at Duncan Studio in Pasadena. And the last project, I guess, of note that we worked on was Mary Poppins. And I know that a few others here worked on it. And Sandro and I were lucky enough to get an Annie Award for our work on that, which was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty fun. Never expected that, but it was kind of cool. So yeah, I am not allowed really to divulge what I'm doing right now. We're doing a bunch of development stuff at Duncan Studio. So that's where I am right now.
Oh, darn. That was going to be my next question. What are you doing right now? Well, just to let everyone in the chat know that we are opening this up to live Q&A. So go ahead and ask any questions you have about being an animator. And while we wait for those questions to load in, I heard a variety of studio names. Do you guys both work primarily in traditional hand-drawn animation? Or I even heard Leica in there. Do you do stop motion?
No, for Leica, we do traditional animation, like tests before they test the models, the puppets. We do hand-drawn animation tests with the characters, just to play with the characters. And we do that for CG too. We do hand-drawn animation tests for CG movies.
Yeah, I think there's a thing where you can, just because the traditional hand-drawn stuff is so immediate, you can get a design and immediately start to play with it, animate it, work it out. I think there's a certain streamlining process that happens when you have a design and you animate it traditionally with drawing. You just naturally streamline the proportions and you just make it more animatable. It's a natural process. I think it's an important one too with design. And then from that, you also work on a shorthand, I guess. It's just a natural process. And from that, the design for CG can springboard from that, and you get a design that's more friendly to being animated.
Like solving problems too for the rigs.
Yeah. I think it's a great process. It just makes the designs work so much better when they do it. For me, I do hand-drawn traditional style, but it's about for me, it's about 60-40, like 40% of the animation I do is CG Maya stuff. And then the other part is traditional hand-drawn stuff. When I animate, I also do a lot of story supervision and storyboarding. So that's, and I do a little bit, you know, well, a good amount of character design, but more story and more animation. But for me, it does split like from CG to 2D.
You're very complete, Chris, because I don't do CG at all. I don't do any CG animation. I've never done. So I only do hand-drawn animation.
You've done pretty well for not doing CG
Maybe surviving, yes.
Because that's part of why I do it. For me, it was always like it was always, you know, the more I knew, the more I felt like if a job came available, then I would have my hat in the ring. And, you know, I bounced back and forth from TV to features. I think maybe the same way, although I did start off in television, probably like most people do, or in commercials, you know. But I just felt like, oh, if I can do storyboards, you know, because people would ask, oh, we got a job, can you do storyboards? And then you go, not really. And then in your head, you're thinking, maybe I should learn how to do storyboards. So, you know, do you do design? Not really. And you're thinking, oh man, I better learn some design. So
that's what I did. That's what I started doing designs too, because I need to work. There's a time where maybe 2004, 2005, there was no hand-drawn animation anywhere. So I had to do design work, some storyboards to survive. That's why
isn't that interesting? I do find that interesting that, you know, when the most common way of animating, let's say in the 80s and in the 90s, right? Even before that, right? Was hand-drawn traditional animation. So if you wanted to get into animation, you loved drawing, you loved animating. But it comes to a point where hand-drawn animation isn't the way it's mostly done anymore. And so I feel like that's why you have so many great designers and like development artists now, is because I feel like those young people still coming up who love to draw and love animation, their outlet for drawing wasn't animation anymore because it was all mostly done in CG. So where do you go? Well, then you gravitate towards design, or you gravitate towards development art, and so you can still draw. So I feel that really was where all the artists ended up. So for me, it's not surprising that you would have ended up in design because you love to draw. You got a real, you know what needs to be in a design to make it really animation friendly. And so and you love to draw, so that's where you gravitate towards. For me, it's was a little different, which is it. For me, I found when I tried the CG stuff that there was parts of CG that I really liked, and part of it was because I didn't have to draw it. It's like when I tilted a head up or tilted it, it's like, oh man, I could just tilt it. I don't have to actually draw the foreshortening and stuff. And of course there's stuff that's, as a traditional, person who draws, there's frustrations with the CG, which I think is getting better and better and better as it goes. But of course, I did surprise myself that I embraced it more than I thought I would, and I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And I totally understand how people kind of gravitated away from it. I just think that in the process of personally me animating, the drawing part of it, as fun as it is, it's a little bit of a struggle for me. And it's a little bit of a like sometimes I joke that my drawings look like sculptures because I'm like grinding it out and erasing and grinding it out and drawing and redrawing and drawing and redrawing it. And I have the idea in my head of what I want, but my ability to draw it takes a lot of work. And
but I don't see when I see the result of your animation, I don't see the struggle.
Yeah, I guess, you know,
Right.
and isn't that the thing, right? Is the whole idea behind animation isn't it that, you know, you do all this work behind the scenes and the final product looks like it's happening in the moment.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
the
just
idea. Yeah.
living the way it is. Isn't that, to me, the you know, that word, the word magic, you know, how it gets bandied around a lot. But honestly, I feel like that is the appropriate term. I think, because, you know, well, all of us here in animation know all the struggles and all the, you know, the 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 battles and the successes that happen while you're doing your little piece in an animated film.
Mhm.
That drama all plays out, is done. The final product goes up on screen and it becomes something different. It becomes something like real. And somebody who's going to see this film or your show or whatever it is, your movie, they sit in a theater or at home and they enjoy it. And you can see it. The characters become real. The young people will love a character. And to me, right from probably my second job in animation, which was an illustration of it, we worked in a studio. We worked on this show. It was called The Raccoons. It was a popular show in Canada. They would bring tours of kids, grade school kids, through our animation studio. Here's how you do animation, kids. And they would walk through the studio and they see a bunch of guys at desks drawing. But the kids, and it happened very often, the kids would be looking around. They're looking around the studio for Bert Raccoon. Like they think they live in the studio somewhere, and we're just a bunch of guys that do drawings of them. Like they're alive and they're living in the studio somewhere. So, you know, it's like, oh, you know, oh, these guys drawing are interesting, but where's Bert? Where's Mickey Mouse? Is he living around here somewhere? So, I mean, that shows you, right? That isn't that the point? And hopefully, you know, you hope that all the toil that you do to get your animation done, you know, hopefully looks like it's alive at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, Matt?
Yeah, we have a ton of questions just coming in. I'm going to
Sure.
go ahead and start reading into them. This first one's asking, besides having an awesome reel and having an internship, do you guys know of any other ways to break into the animation industry? Like any different tips other than those two pieces of advice already?
Do you want to take it?
You go ahead, Chris. You look at many reels.
I think that one of the things would be to get people to, obviously it would be to get people to see your work. And I think there's these two sides to the animation industry. I'll say it's two sides, but there's more. There's the side of it where you do a bunch of good work and people see it and they want to hire you, and you become a rich and famous animator. No, but you know what I mean. And the other side of it is the sort of the networking side of it, where it's not part of drawing per se. It's part of being there, being seen, being heard, being present. And functions like this, you know, social media is part of it, but you know, any type of function outside of actually drawing and submitting portfolios might be a good place to be. Now, I'm saying this from a position of for me, I know Sandro and I have had this conversation multiple times, where I am not a natural self-promoter. I don't really do self-promotion that much. I'm not comfortable with it. It's not in my personality to do it. And I came to terms with that early on in my career. But if you get a talent for diplomatic and appealing self-promotion, that will go a long way. to forward you in your career. And look at people who do it well. There's quite a few of them here probably in this forum, and do what they do, or do your version of it. You know, keep it personal to your personality. But it is a talent, and I think it outside of showing your work and pounding the pavement, so to speak, that is the other side of it that I would suggest.
Yeah, but in the end, it's all about your work. You know, there's no way, there's no escape. It's
you have to bring the goods.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you have to bring the goods.
Yeah.
But again, okay, to that point, then that was part of it too, because for me, I was very, very uncomfortable with self-promotion. So I had to do that. I had to work on the work. But also, you have to kind of push back that self-doubt as well, kind of keep it at bay, try to stop that nagging feeling like, I'm not good enough, oh, I'm not as good as so-and-so, I'm not as good as these guys. Just have like, even if it's a fake confidence that you need just to feel, this is where I am right now, this is the work I have right now, I'm going to put it out there and just put it out what I can do. And when I was earlier in my career, that's kind of what I did. I was like, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not going to worry about if it's good enough or not. It's the best I could do, the best I can do where I am. Yeah. See, and did it work?
Like you're saying, it's very important not to try not to compare yourself to others. You know, it's very difficult because, like, if I say I want to animate like James Baxter, and there's no way. And is James Baxter. So
yes.
You can be inspired by it, but there's no way you can compare, be down because of that, everybody has a level, and
be
confident.
That kind of leads into our next question here, which is from Justin saying, being a student is so discouraging, and seeing other people with way more skills, it can be challenging. But they're wondering, does that mean that they've already failed?
Whoa.
Not really, no.
No,
like
no.
Okay, let's say I never went to school for animation, right? And I'm self-taught, and I learned on the job. If you look at my drawings from when I started, they were terrible, very terrible drawings. So I had to work my drawings every single day. So it was like every day working really hard on my drawings and animation, doing tests and failing. You have to fail for you to succeed. So you have to start somewhere. And they practice. It's just like music. If you don't practice music, you won't be able to play. So it's the same. You have to practice. You draw every day.
Yeah, it really is you really have to look at it in a different way, and you really have to break with that natural artist tendency to compare yourself, because you want to see, where am I? How good am I? Well, I'm not as good as him. Maybe I'm better than him. And it's just a dangerous, maybe not dangerous. It's just not a constructive way to do it. And you really have to keep that kind of feeling at bay. A better way to approach it, I feel, is like, use it as inspiration. Like whenever you see someone doing a piece of great art, try to be inspired by it, and try to, if you can watch them draw or see how they do it, and just go, wow, that's amazing. And then use it to inspire you, to energize you. That way, if you're inspired and energized, you will draw more, you will create more art, you will have a better attitude towards your drawing. And then on the other side of it, I feel like it's like, keep thinking, this is where I am now, but I'm going to get better. I'm just, I'm at this is where I am now. I'm doing the best I can right now. You can't put a fast forward on your creative development just by wanting to do it. It's like Sandro. So like you say, Sandro, you have to just draw, and maybe you have to do
Yeah.
a whole bunch of crappy drawings. So it's like, I'm the same as you, Sandro. You could see the amount of like horrible drawings
But
I
it's
did in my
normal. It's
first
normal.
jobs.
It's normal. When we start, that's how it is. We
It
started
is.
like that. Yeah.
But at the time, it was the best I could do. So I was like, hey, this is what I can do, you
Yeah.
know, and you just, you know, you figure the more I draw, you know, every now and then, maybe you feel like you're treading water a little bit and then you get better. But if you open yourself to these bursts of inspiration, then you open yourself to those moments where you feel like your talent kind of boosts. And I feel like there's always a moment of like kind of frustration or stagnation that happens before you, boom, you break to the next.
Yeah. I think we have to approach, like, for me, like, it's like Richard Williams. He said, animation is hard work. And that's it. That's it's hard work. If you want to do animation like traditional animation, the way we do, classical animation, full animation, it's not easy. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes study. And so for me, it's just like what Richard Williams said. Animation is hard work. If you don't want to work hard, you are in the wrong profession. He said that. That's true.
It's true.
That was my life. When I started, I didn't have a social life. I just drew. I didn't have a girlfriend when I was young. I was just like, I was drawing. I was doing animation during the day, working commercial, doing betweens. And at night, in weekends, I was doing comic books. I was just I would get freelance work from anybody to do any piece of animation I could, just to get better. So it was just work, and it's hard work. That's the payoff is that you see the evolution of your work. Little by little, every year, you're gonna see. If you compare your drawings from 1 year ago, you're gonna see the evolution. So for me, it's hard work.
Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the thing, is don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to yourself, where you were like a year ago or 2 years ago. Look at your work from 2 years ago and look at it and look and see how much better you could do now than the stuff you did 2 years ago. Then you can get a good read on how you're, you know. Maybe
one thing I don't do, which many people do. I know many animators who do that. I don't try to compete with anybody. I'm not in competition with anybody because I don't believe in that in a way that I need to be better than that guy. I don't approach that way. I approach like we were saying before. I'm inspired by when I see a James Baxter, when I see some of your scenes, Chris or James or anybody that is really good. I'm getting inspired. I was like, wow, and I go frame by frame. I go frame by frame. Look at your stuff. I do. It's true. James, anybody that when I see something good, I go frame by. How did they do that? You know, why? It's great. I analyze. So I'm always inspired, but I never try to compete being the best. You know, I never try that. For me, it's not. It doesn't work. You know.
No, it won't serve you well either when you get along in your career as well, because there will be a time and like, you know, I'm at a certain age in my career that I can't let that sort of feeling of, oh, there's all these young whippersnappers coming into the industry and they're all really good. It's like you have to keep that young childlike fascination going. You know, you have to kind of keep that and just look at art and surround yourself with stuff that inspires you, because what you're talking about, Sandro, where you know you're at home drawing and drawing and drawing, there's a drive there that makes you do that, and to me that drive comes from being inspired. So you got to look to be inspired. That's the kind of the gas for the engine.
Listen, I'm gonna, for the kids out there who are starting, they used to, some of my family members, they thought I was kind of strange because I didn't go out play. I was just drawing in my room. So you have to let that go. You cannot be bothered by that kind of thing because you're not doing anything wrong. You're just focused. I was a very focused guy because I wanted to be an animator, right? And I worked really hard on that. So being focused is very important. So people are gonna think, your family members maybe, oh, this kid doesn't go out, doesn't do anything, just draw. But you're working hard on that. So that's how it is. You know?
Yeah, and to recognize too that as a creative person, the work you do, the drawings you do are very personal, and so if you got to let the feelings of like if someone's giving you the feeling that your drawings aren't good enough, or that like artists tend to take that personally because it comes from here, you know, it comes comes from your heart, the drawing, and that it's not like you're doing a job that's not creative. It's creative and personal. So you can't let that feeling, that's if someone's giving you the feeling that your art isn't good enough, you have to get rid of those kind of things, and or maybe not get rid of them, but gravitate towards things that are inspiring. That way all the other stuff fades off into the distance, you know.
Our next question, well, first off there, thank you for being here today.
Well, you're welcome.
Our pleasure.
My pleasure.
They were wondering, what are some things people may not know about working in a studio, and what tips do you have for putting together a demo reel?
Go ahead, Sandro. Take it.
Okay. What people don't realize working in studios, which I learned later when I got into the studios, is politics. It happens. So you're gonna go through politics in every studio.
Good point.
Right. So sometimes I never play well, and I can't do that. So that's gonna happen. But for a reel, we'll have to do, you know, good tests and good work, like acting scenes, and you have to have a reel that's not too long. For me, like 1 minute, 2 minutes maximum. You know, I think 1 minute it's what they want to see. They don't want to spend too much time watching a long reel. But put your best work there at the beginning, and don't put only technical animation like walks and weight, but you have to show some acting, because they want to see your sensibility as an animator, what you can, even if it's not perfect, but they want to see your sensibility. So acting scenes is very important. You try to keep it like 1 minute or maximum 2 minutes, but.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that, I mean, you put your best foot forward in your reel. If it's an animation reel, yeah, you have a good combination of different types of animation. If it's a drawing and design, I think you do the same thing. You put your best work first. Try not to make it too many drawings, because most of the time a supervisor or a rep from a studio will make their decision on your work fairly quickly. So try not to make it too long, but you want to show them that you can draw, or you can design, or what it is you want to do. You have your portfolio geared towards that. And then, yeah, to the first part of the question, yes, the kind of the downside of, or the surprising side, I think I'm in the same boat as you, Sandro, where I didn't see it weirdly until I moved down here. I'd been in animation for 7 or 8 years working before I came down here. And I never experienced that kind of political side to the studio atmosphere until I came down here. And it was a real shocker to me. It was, and it really took me by surprise, and really affected me. And I had to really work myself into a place where it didn't bother me. So that's kind of the negative side. The thing to be, I think there's a couple of things. If you get a job, you're getting offered a job in animation, I think you go into it with the sense of that you have a job to do, you want to do your best work, and just to see what the experience and the studio or the place you're going to work offers you. try not to feel, I know it sounds like a bit of a downer, but try not to think that every job you get is going to be this beautiful, amazing working experience. It could be, it probably will be, but remember that you're going into a business. And so if you can keep that in the back of your mind and
Chris,
kind of just, yes.
Chris, I'm smiling because I'm remembering a few things that happened working with Ken Duncan, in that respect.
Well, you get, okay, so to that point, you're working with different personalities, and you may be put with a supervisor that you love and you really get along with, and another project you may be put with a supervisor you don't quite gel with. Those things happen. You have to kind of roll with it and do it. I'm going to quickly, I'll say this theory that I have about being in animation, working with a supervisor. You have the sigh of relief and you have the groan of despair. And so if you're a supervisor and you look at someone who's working under you, as an animation, someone coming into animation, you want to be the sigh of relief to your supervisor. That's kind of the way I look at it. So by doing a good job, taking direction well, just being a good person to work with, you become that person where if I'm going to give you a scene or I'm going to give you a sequence or something, it's like, who's going to take this? Oh, Sandro. It's like, oh, thank God Sandro's going to take it. Okay, that's the person you want to be. And you can do that just by, all the stuff we've been talking about. That's the way you approach it. You don't want to be the person that it's like, oh my God, it's Chris Suave. Oh my God, I can't stand this guy. All right, bring him in. Okay, you don't want to be that guy. So look at it as I want to put my best foot forward and impress the people I work with. I want to be a cool guy to work with. I want to take direction well. I want to be positive. I want to be a good person to work with and make everybody's, try to make people's day a little easier. That you do that, you'll get a more beneficial time at working at a studio, I think.
Our next question is asking if you have any advice for someone outside of the States to be able to enter an American animation studio. It looks like Sandro wants to take this one.
Yeah, because I'm a foreigner. When I started, I was in Brazil, right? I was working in São Paulo, Brazil, doing commercials before the internet. So it was impossible to, it's not like today. We only had a few books on animation. There's no information at all. It was very rare to get information there. Somehow I managed to go from São Paulo, go to Dublin in Ireland to work for Dan Bluth. I got their address, and I prepared a portfolio I prepared my portfolio for 1 year. I saved my money for 1 year, and I flew over there, knocked on the door, and asked for a job. I was lucky that they hired me, on the spot, but it's possible, And today is even easier with the social media because many people I know got jobs through social media. So for me, it's even easier today to show what you can do, even if you're outside the United States.
Yeah, it is, using that social media tool. It is a little easier because you can work remotely now. Even in this day and age, I think moving forward from today, people will be more just accepting of working remotely. But sometimes if you're coming from I'm from Canada, I had to come down and I was lucky enough to get a green card and that, but part of it is, again, it's the same things of putting your best work forward, networking well, but it comes down to, or it could come down to something that you don't have control over. And that being like a studio being able to secure some sort of work visa for you, that may or may not happen, and it's not in your control. So in that regard, I think you can't get down because of that. I think you just keep going at it, keep networking, keep showing your stuff, because, and being able, or being willing to work remotely.
Well, but
And-
another thing too, Chris, is like we did, like we started in our own country,
Mhm.
right? I started
Mhm.
doing TV commercials in this studio in São Paulo. You worked in Canada before you went to the States to work for Disney or Warner's. So you can start smaller in a smaller studio in your country, you know, your city.
Mhm.
Commercial, you learn the basics, and that's how I did
Oh, yeah.
it. Possible.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to speak on for you, Sandro. I'm sure that, but for me, we got to a certain level without leaving the country that we were in, and I think you could probably have a pretty good career without, you know, if the industry is healthy enough where you are. But you could get your start, you know. I think, yeah,
exactly.
maybe it's just you just do what you have to do. You have to get the job, have to, you know, do whatever you can do, and take advantages of opportunities when they come up. And when not, it's like, dude, you keep working on your work, your portfolio, planning your next steps. Yeah. So when a job comes up, you're ready to apply, you're ready to do what you need to do. That would be my thoughts on it.
This next question is asking, what are some steps someone can do to prepare for the animator lifestyle? Like, what can they expect? Is it long, busy productions?
Yeah, it is hard. It's like
animator
I was saying,
lifestyle.
Yeah, like I was saying before, I didn't have a social life for a long time, and actually I still don't because I'm just working. So no, it's hard. It's like I was saying before. It's hard work, and it's long hours, and that's why animation. You have to have the passion to do it. I know many people who tried to do it and they couldn't because they couldn't handle the way we work. It's like long hours, and it goes slowly because you have to draw every single frame sometimes, and it takes time, and be prepared for many corrections. You have to do corrections over and over. Sometimes you have to go, there's this John Palmer, like a top animator. He told me he had to do a scene 20 times when he was working for Frank Thomas on Winnie the Pooh.
Wow.
Of course, we don't do that as many today, like they used to, but you have to go through corrections. Sometimes you have ideas that you think is good, and you show the directors, oh no, it's not what I want, so I have to redo everything. So there's a lot of that, long hours and corrections.
Yeah, I think being able to handle that kind of constructive or not so constructive criticism of your work is a pretty valuable. So when you take your work back to your desk and you have to address notes that you're not, I mean, you take a moment to like shake your fist at the sky or whatever you have to do, and then you get back to it. You don't get too plowed down by it. Another element of it is that, like, you're getting into animation, you're in it for the long haul. You're going to be doing this for, hopefully, a long time. So there's other parts of it too. When you're young, the idea of, you working long hours, you work all-nighters to get stuff done. There's a lot of that, and for a lot of people, as they get older, you may get married, you may have a family, you might have life happens, and you may not be able to do that sort of stuff. Maybe you will, maybe you won't, but you have to kind of organize your life so that you can still be able to animate tomorrow and next week and the week after that and the month after that. So you do a couple of things. I mean, you make sure that you have, a healthy approach to work. Even if you have to work long hours, just try to keep some sort of get up and walk around, take your eyes away and focus on something far away, all those kind of technical things that you always hear about, but they're important because, you got to be doing this for 10, 20, 25, 30 years. So you want to be burning yourself out, early. Another idea behind it is this: if you're an animator or you're somebody in animation or creative animation job, you have to have a life. You have to have something to draw from. So as an animator, say, for example, you need to get out and see people and have life experiences and see things that happen, so that you can kind of put that into your animation and get your characters acting choices and personalities and things. Those are things you draw from real life. I think if you're someone who does environments or development art, I mean, getting out and, I mean, yeah, sure, you can spend all your time on Google image search, but take a walk through a, beautiful park or go to Vasquez Rocks or somewhere, you get some life experience. You can walk through these environments and feel the atmosphere and feel the feeling it gives you. Then you take that experience and put it into your art, instead of taking someone else's art and doing a different version of it to it. So you can look at it that way, is if you look at it as get away from your desk, get some life experience, because that life experience will make your art a little more unique to you. So you can use that as an excuse to get away from the desk if you need to. But
today's a little hard because of the COVID. But
sure.
When it's normal, you do that.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Your final advice is try to get married spouses that understand you the work. That helps.
Yes, yes.
I was lucky that my wife understands my work, and so we're okay, because so many times I'm just working. We don't go out, we don't do anything, because I'm just working. So that's something that, if you can see,
yes, it's important. Yeah, you have a significant other that is aware of what it's like to be in animation. My wife works in animation still.
Yeah, exactly.
She has for years and years and years, so she understands it. Plus, my wife is well traveled, so she understands the value of travel and experiences. So yes, once our present situation is somewhat resolved and things get sort of back to normal, then I would say, surrounding yourself with people that understand what it's like, and getting some life experience
I mean, that kind of leads into our next question here, which is, can someone successfully raise a family and still handle a job as time-consuming as animation?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, I did too.
And Len Simon's not here, but he did too, I know.
Yes. Animation is full of people. Animation is full of great parents. Yes, it is an unequivocal yes by me.
Well, you have to do it. You have to. If you're married and working in animation, you're gonna have to balance your life. Like Chris was saying, you have to. It's the work and it's the family. You have to do it. You have a family, have kids. You have to, have a normal family life, normal life. And so it's balance. You have to find a balance, and it's possible. It's hard, but it's possible.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is kids are a great source of inspiration for being in animation, and they're constantly doing stuff you're just kind of amazed at, and my sons now are in their early 20s, so they're all grown up, but it's you sure get to see a lot of animation when the kids are young. So, and I don't know, it is absolutely possible, and many people have been very successful at raising a family and working in animation. They're probably better off for it. I think having kids turns you into a different person, and for the most part makes you a better person.
Our next question is coming from someone who feels like at least them, but also other animators, are primarily introverts. Do you have any
Mhm.
suggestions for them to approach recruiters or peers, or how can they battle their introvertness while becoming an animator?
Wow. For me, it's okay. I was like that too, but somehow I took the courage to fly from Brazil to Ireland, and with no English, I tried to get a job there, and I begged them to let me show my work. And actually, at the beginning, they said, no, you have to go back to Brazil and send your portfolio. And I was like, no, I'm here. I'm here now with my portfolio in my hands here. And that was at the reception at Dumbledore. And they would say, no, it doesn't work this way. You have to go back. Of course, I didn't understand a lot because I didn't know English enough. And they got this Canadian lady with a Spanish dictionary. I was like, Spanish is not even my language, So it was very difficult. So somehow I managed to overcome my, because I'm shy too, but I overcome that to tell them, listen, somehow they understood. I want to show my portfolio. I want to meet Dumbledore. So somehow the next day, they told me, okay, come back tomorrow. I came back the next day. Same thing, I'll go back to Brazil. I said, no, I need to show my portfolio. And somehow they after 2 days, they said, okay, wait here. So they took my portfolio to Dumbledore, and he saw and he hired me. So even though you're shy, you have to overcome that somehow, because you have to be focused, right? I was focused on getting that job. Because I remember telling my friend, I'm gonna work at Dumbledore. It's gonna happen, So yeah, it's hard when you're shy, but you have to somehow to overcome that. You have to fight and to do it. Otherwise, I would say, if I was very shy, if I didn't fight for it, I would go back home with no job, with nothing, with no accomplishment at all. So you have to do it. You have to find a way to overcome.
Yeah, I think it's something that you learn, or you have the drive, like you did, Sandro, to have it, or you realize that maybe there's someone at a studio that you would like to work with, or you picture the studio environment full of people, like full of really good artists that you would just like to be able to be in that room with and rub elbows with and just kind of see how they work. And hopefully that idea kind of gets you the courage to just kind of put your work out there. Sometimes that's all it is that you do the best work you can and you just hold up your work in front of you and go, look at this, don't look at me, look at this. And maybe it's enough to get someone just to look at it. Another thing to consider too is, I mean, it's inherent in the question, is that a lot of people in animation are introverts. So, keep in mind that the people that you're talking to might be introverts too, or ex-introverts that had to go through the same thing you do. So the people that you're talking to may fully understand, at least say from, I'm sure with you, Sandro, and with me, when I'm sitting at, say, like what we did at a CTN booth and people are coming up to show their portfolios, I understand that some of these people are extreme introverts. So when they're showing their stuff, I understand that. So maybe that's, something to keep in mind, is that the people that you're showing it to might be introverts or people that completely understand where you're coming from. And hopefully that gives you some sort of comfort, or at least, something to kind of keep in mind when you're showing your stuff.
Yeah.
This next question is asking, can you be too old to learn animation? Is there a time period or an age where it's like you will not be able to have a successful animation career?
No, you're never too old to do animation. Okay. Of course, there's in every profession there's the problem of age, which is normal. It happens in every profession. Maybe if you're too old, you might not get the job as easily as younger, but you can always still learn animation, no matter what age you are. And I know I started this guy from a British guy, this English guy. I saw this from the 80s. I don't know where he is now, but he was around maybe 45, or he was 45 years old or something. And he started learning animation. He did his own film, and he's like very inspired. I was very inspired by that. It's like, wow, this guy, he still wants to do it, and he's doing his own. He's working hard, trying to learn, So you're never too old, in my opinion. If you love the medium.
Yeah, I think I mean, there may be if you get up in age, you may have to do a little bit more work on your own to do it. But I think the key is to keep the feeling of being young. I think the key is to keep that feeling of being inspired by stuff and wanting to do it, and that kind of that young energy. That's not age related, that young energy. You can have that. I've seen guys, I mean, when we were working back on Iron Giant or in Ray Gun, I mean, Ray Aragon we were working with, and geez, these guys were I mean, we've all had that experience, I'm sure. Like there's older artists that we've worked on, sometimes they're in their 70s and they kind of still have this drive, like they get excited about stuff.
Going back to Richard Williams, he started young in his career, but he only learned animation the way he wanted, like from the Nine Old Men, those guys from Hollywood. He only learned when he was around his 40s, I think, when he really grasped, the way he wanted to animate. Before, his animation was very crude, very simple, like limited animation. But he worked hard on it. He had his own studio. He was doing commercials, but he was working hard, trying to get that level, So I think he reached the level when he was like over 40, maybe almost 50. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you can start. I think the idea is that you would probably have to do a bit more work to establish yourself, because it's probably a little easier if you're coming out of college to get connected with recruiters and that. But but apart maybe from that, I think that I just put it down to that's the kind of the same thing. You do the best work you can, you put it forward, and you keep showing it to people until somebody goes, hey, that's cool, you want a job? and there you go. And to me, but it's a thing that you're going to run into anyway. You can't stop aging. You have to keep feeling. Exactly. You kept, we worked when we were on Ray Gun, we worked with Maurice Noble before he passed away. I remember how he was totally into it. He was still doing paintings, and he was still. And I remember seeing him at Comic-Con the year before he passed away, and he was there really studying all the art. He was going from booth to booth studying it. He had these big thick glasses, and he was looking at it. And he was really studying, he was really into it. At his age, he was still never lost the kind of the burning energy for it. I think that's where it'll be. It would be a shame to miss out on working in animation because you feel like you're too old. I agree. I wouldn't. If you want to do it, I don't care what if you got 3 heads or you got whatever, you come from another planet. I don't, it's whatever, if you're never too old.
We're getting close to the end of our time, so I think I'm going to have time for maybe just one last question. I know there's a couple dozen questions everyone's asked, and wish we could answer them all.
Sorry. I hope we can.
Last question's asking, do you have any advice for someone who feels like they've plateaued in their art skills? How can they keep growing? How can they move past that and keep growing?
Yeah, that happens. It happened to me. When it happened to me, I had to move to another studio. That's what I did. What happened to me was I was working with Dan Bluth. It was great that he gave me my start. And always grateful to him. But we were using a lot of live action reference that he would shoot for us to do. So we had to do animation that was too close to the real, like rotoscope sometimes. And I felt like, okay, I reached a level that I cannot move forward. I need to, I have ideas in my mind that I need to, I know how I want to do it. So I need to move to another studio in order to do it. So I had to leave Don Bluth and go to Disney, because Disney, they were doing the kind of animation I wanted to do. And my animation, I think it got much better when I went to Disney, because I had the freedom, more freedom than when I was working with Don. So I reached like a plateau. I couldn't go any further. So I had to leave the studio. So that happens also. It could happen, like, I don't know, in this case, maybe it's like, if you're, this person has you cannot reach another higher level, but you have to find a way to see different art, open your mind to all kinds of art, all kinds of animation. When I started, I was doing too much Disney stuff when I started. Okay, nobody told me, oh, you have to do life drawing, you have to sketch people, you have to go to museums, you have to learn about art. Nobody told me that. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody telling me that. People are just like doing animation. And for me, it was like Disney. So you have to open up your mind. So my animation got better, my drawing got better when I start learning about other artists from the Renaissance or from illustrators, different kind of animation than Disney, like foreign animation. So open up your mind and try to absorb other kinds of art, not only the animation world art, be more open.
Couldn't agree more. I think you just get some different, get some inspiration from different sources. Yeah, exactly. Like Sandro said, couldn't agree more. Look at different art, try to do different kinds of art.
Yeah, that's why also I love being a freelancer today, because I'm able to do all kinds of styles. Because I love changing styles. I don't like to, it would be hard for me just to do Disney style. I start with Disney. I have a Disney style in my drawing. That's what I love. I used to love Disney. Like if you see my wall there, it's all Disney. Basically, I love it. But I love changing the styles. And being a freelancer, every studio has a different style. Sometimes you have like this project here that's totally different than a Disney, totally opposite. And I love doing that. So that is a good training also.
Yeah, it keeps you fresh. I mean, talk about changing styles. When I was animating on Ren and Stimpy, I did 2 seasons of Ren and Stimpy, and then within the year, I had come down to LA and I was working on Pocahontas. So you can't get much different from Ren and Stimpy animation to Pocahontas animation. That's like the two opposite ends of animation. But that's what it does. It breaks you of feeling like you're stagnating in one thing.
Oh, but that's another thing too that's important. Try to be versatile. Try to adapt to other styles. Don't, if you just do one style, that's it. You're stuck. So try to be versatile and adapt. Try to adapt to different styles. That's very important to get jobs.
Yeah.
Well, Sandro, Chris, is bringing us to the end of our time. Thank you both so much for being here.
Sure, you're welcome.
It was great. It was fun.
Super helpful, super informative.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. I just want to give you the chance if you guys wanted to say any last words before we switch over.
Sure. No, for me, animation is my love. It's, you have to have passion for it, and I do, and I know most of us animators, we do have the passion for it. So try to get into animation, see if you like it. You have to really have the passion to continue on this journey, because it's not easy, but it's very rewarding. And you are drawing, you're seeing result and the reaction of people watching your work. It's really great.
I would agree. I would say that as a parting word. The revive and thrive theme to this is all to me is based on your sources of inspiration and your willingness to open yourself up to different art and the joy of it. And absolutely, I agree with Sandro. It's you put that effort in, and it's a super rewarding industry to be in.
Yeah.
It's just full of great people, full of great artists, full of just today. It's just a great time to be in animation right now. It's such a
right now it's booming.
Great time.
Booming
It's
like crazy.
so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Never seen so many great artists. Never seen so many young people with super talent. It's so amazing.
The important thing, there's lots of jobs. Today.
It's just
amazing.
I'm constantly just amazed at how many cool artists, great art you run into. Love it. It's cool.
All right, thanks.
Thank you guys again so much. Have a great
rest of
your day.
Bye,
all right,
everybody.
take care.
Good luck to
Bye-bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you, Chris.
Bye. See you, Sandra.